All right, the other big piece of news, guys, has to do with the VR headset. I have no idea why they announced this when they did, but I'm excited that they did. Number 2,
Yeah.
After randomly confirming the long-rumored existence of a new PlayStation VR unit custom-made for PlayStation 5, Sony has gone an unexpected step further. It has revealed the VR headset's controllers. In a post on the official PlayStation blog, Sony's Hideki Nishino wrote in part, quote, "Our new VR controller speaks to our mission of achieving a much deeper sense of presence and stronger feeling of immersion in VR experiences," end quote. As such, the two controllers are, as Sony calls them, orbs. Picture the core of a DualSense controller split into two. You hold the right side and left side separately, not unlike what Switch does. The face buttons, sticks, and triggers are all there, but split up per side, and the touchpad is seemingly gone. And the ring that completes the orb look is actually a motion tracker. The triggers are adaptive, the controller includes haptic-style feedback, and as we discussed weeks ago when a new patent was filed, there's even finger touch detection, meaning you can essentially create virtual buttons. Now, like the VR unit itself, which is still unnamed and which hasn't been shown, these controllers are far off and none of this is coming out this year. In fact, the post notes that developers will soon begin receiving prototypes of these controllers, so we must be a ways off yet. The original PSVR for PS4 launched in 2016, and it can be used with PS5 with a camera adapter from Sony. All right, so what did you guys think of Chris, let's just talk about the look of these controllers. I actually really like them, and my question for it is actually, it sucks that I understand why they didn't answer this because it's not about VR, and it seems like it's answered because the touchpad isn't there, but I was wondering, like, can I just use these as controllers? It doesn't seem like that's the case because it's also missing a couple of the triggers, but yeah. What did you think of the look? What do you think about their technology and all the rest? What strikes you?
I like it, man. I think it looks exactly how you would want a VR controller to look. I think the Valve Index right now is like the best VR controller that's around because it actually like tracks your individual fingers and whatever. But and it doesn't look all that dissimilar to the route that they're going here. I think it looks sleek. It looks high tech. It looks new, and it's exactly what PSVR needs because, quite frankly, the motion, whatever the hell what was that thing? The PlayStation Move. PlayStation Move.
Yeah.
It's just it hasn't cut it really, quite frankly, since the VR unit it has come out. Especially just because you can compare the PlayStation Move to like even just the original Vive controllers or the original Oculus controllers and even the Oculus Quest controllers, which I find particularly like not all that good. I would still much rather have those than the PS Move. And to see something like this coming out of PlayStation shows me that like, oh, hey, they're actually investing pretty heavy resources into like making this a viable competitor to some of the more affordable units that are out right now. Like Oculus Quest 2 is like exploding. It's something that I've seen. I've come across the Oculus Quest twice now in the wild, which is like really rare for like VR. Like usually like VR is not something that normal people have, but like sure. This thing I'm seeing everywhere. And to see them kind of going the route of taking this more seriously, having like a sophisticated controller, adapting some of the features of the DualSense into it, I think it's really smart.
Dustin, what do you think about this? These controllers? What I was most interested in with all of this is not only the excitement of playing the new device one day, but the patents that have been coming out. They're actually, I mean, they're always real, but these were actually the patents we were looking at are actually the patents that they went with. It seems like with the controllers and stuff. So for years they've been talking about having a split controller, and it seems like this is finally coming to fruition. So what do you make of it?
I think it's exciting. I think they did what looks like, in a way, I feel like they kind of, I don't want to say the bare minimum, but these are very, very close to Oculus controllers, like to a T. The thing that they're bringing to the table are the adaptive triggers, the better feedback. But yeah, these are pretty run-of-the-mill, well, as far as modern. Obviously, we're not talking about Move, but this is pretty standard, which is good. I think it's good for VR games to have a standardized controller. It's taken us a few years to kind of get there, but that's good for compatibility across PC games and now the new PlayStation VR. One thing I did notice, which we talked about this when they announced this PSVR 2, in the PlayStation blog post, they said under the bullet point where it says tracking, it says the VR controller is tracked by the new VR headset through a tracking ring across the bottom of the controller. Now, I don't know, maybe I'm looking at this wrong, but to me, this just confirms that they are doing inside-out tracking. So there will be no camera or sensors involved with this new PSVR, which
is awesome.
Isn't a big prediction because that's kind of the way things are going, but not entirely because the Valve Index still requires you to have 2 Lighthouse sensors. So that's exciting. But yeah, these look, if they work as well as the Oculus controllers, then great. They'll even have a little extra because they have the adaptive triggers and the better feedback. And so, yeah, it's nice. I used the moves last week when we talked about Duracine. They're unbearable, especially coming from if you've used an Oculus Quest or honestly, any other VR headset. Yeah. You go back to those moves and you're like, this feels like the worst possible option.
Yeah, it almost doesn't feel like official technology. It feels like Mad Catz or something. It's like
I hear you guys. It's so strange because Sony's very, I think, cognizant of trying to, or at least they were, I guess they don't have to be that way anymore, of trying to make, I guess, devices that can be used in multiple different ways so they don't have to justify it with just one purchase. And I think PlayStation Move is ancient. I mean, PlayStation Move came out in 2010. 2010 is when PlayStation Move came out. It was in September of that year. And so this is really old technology that was obviously predicated on the motion kind of craze of the aughts. And they decided to stick with it, which I thought was interesting. And even the camera that came out with PS4 was ostensibly for streaming. Then they worked that into the Move into the VR headset as well. So they just had they have this whole legacy of shit that no one wants, basically. And it's cool that they're going to be able to get rid of that finally, because even when I was charging the Move controllers in anticipation of playing, even though I wasn't able to because something was broken, I was like looking for the right cables, and I like them just because I remember getting them and like how weird it was. I was like, what is this? But that was a long time ago. We do have a question from Nikolaj Hansen Turton. I promised I'd get back to you, my friend. He says, "Dear CNC and hopefully D, with PSVR for PS5 on the way, do you think we will get a proper VR user interface? And as an early adopter of PSVR, I was disappointed with how the UI was just the normal 2D PS4 dashboard and trophies didn't even contain descriptions. Looking forward to retiring my PS Move." So I agree. I was a little disappointed with that as well, but I don't know. Dustin, you seem to be kind of in tune with this. I mean, do you anticipate that they'll have like some sort of separate UI, or are we just going to have like like the theater mode kind of PS5 in our face like it was with PS4?
I would bet money on it that they will, if they're smart, because specifically when you look at Oculus Quest, what's really booming on that, first of all, that has its own interface. It's pretty much standard. If you have either a Vive or an Oculus, whatever, all of them have their own custom interface. But I feel like that custom interface is essential in the fact that so much of VR now is moving towards social spaces. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe this could be the return of PlayStation Home. It actually makes sense this time, though, because you see apps like Rec Room, you see VR Chat, Valve has their own type of VR social space type thing going on. So VR multiplayer, not even playing games, just like hanging out in weird spaces with avatars, is huge on Oculus and on Steam VR. So I would have to imagine that they're looking at the numbers there and be like, there's something here. This is what we need to do. And it's clear. We talked about the Move. It's clear that PlayStation VR Gen 1 was stitched together in a lot of ways. And part of that was to its benefit in that, like you said, they were able to let people use things they already owned and kind of bring down that value or the price in order to get more people into VR at a time when VR was so new and so expensive. Those expectations are different now. They need to have this, in my opinion. They need to have the proper UI, the proper experience, because the landscape is different.
Yeah, very well said. Very well said indeed. We'll put a period on it there for now. But we'll be back to talk more about this. And when Chris gets his supplies, he's going to send me his VR that I bought him in the past so that future Colin could one day play VR again.
Yeah.